My role at Bodmin Jail, I'm General Manager, so I'm in charge of the business as a whole. I basically do all the hiring and firing of staff, and are here really just to make sure that the business grows. I'm here to make sure that obviously we make a profit, as we're a relatively new organisation. We've recently become a limited organisation, and that is something I'm sort of developing going forward. So I'm in charge of all the customer service to make sure everybody has a really good time, whether they come to the restaurant or whether they just come as the tourist attraction. People believe that ghosts and ghouls and paranormal things only happen at night when it's dark. They don't. It happens during the day. People see things as if I'm seeing you today. You very often see people at the corner of your eye, and then when you stand at the bar, they're not there anymore, and you think, did I really see it or didn't I see it? We've had things like in the dining room, tablecloths that literally come off and candles disappear on the floor and that sort of thing. In the evenings, very often you do actually get the feeling, especially when it's closed and there's not a lot of tourists around, you get the feeling that you're not alone when you go downstairs in the evenings when we put the tills away and we're in the cellar. The very first Bodmin Jail was built in 1779. It was built in the reign of King George III. It was the jail with which all jails are based on in Britain and Europe, so it's a really important jail. This gentleman called John Howard was actually captured by the French and went into a French-style prison, escaped because he had plenty of money to buy his freedom, came back to Britain and couldn't believe how dreadful the French were treating people, and he had a friend who said to him, well, we're doing just the same over here, and he took it upon himself to go from place to place, the length of Britain, and to see where people were kept. And they were kept in a type of place which was just like a walled tower, and people would just be thrown in there. Nothing would ever happen to them. Nobody would feed them, water them, or anything like that. So the majority of people went there and died. He was a reformist, so he decided that people were intrinsically good. So he would set about devising a new type of prison. And that is where Bodmin Jail came from. He'd been to Bodmin, liked it because there was fresh water there, so they built the first jail on this site. By the 1800s, the infrastructure changed. People could come by train to Cornwall. Cornwall was a very busy place with the fishing and tin mining, arsenic mines, that sort of thing. So sadly, more people meant more crime. So the jail that we're in today is in fact 149 years old, and it was built by the prisoners themselves. And man, woman or child, it was a cell each. There was a chapel which is above us now, which they were taken to. They were given hard labour and that type of thing. And then hopefully people would be better people to go out in life and not commit crime again. That was his wish. But the prison you'll see today, if you look at it, you can imagine it to be Norman Stanley Fletcher's prison, the sort of prison that you saw in Porridge. This is the jail that all jails are based on. The courtyard outside, the executions that we had there were later on in the late Victorian times, when executions were done basically as a bit of a private affair. Before that time, they saw it as a spectacle for everybody to witness, and people would be taken outside and they would be taken out over the parapet where they would actually build scaffolding for the day, and people would be hung outside there. 55 people were actually hung at Bodmin Jail, some for what we would deem today very menial crimes. Occasionally you would see somebody like Elizabeth Osborne, who at the age of 22 was hung for setting fire to a corn stack. That amount of people were brought here and hung. An awful lot of more people were actually taken away for transportation. Certainly in Victorian times, human life and human property was seen as the same sort of thing. So very often they would be either sentenced to be hung or to be transported. So obviously everybody opted for transportation, which was to America before the 1850s, and after that to Australia.
My name's David, my brother Simon and my sister-in-law Helen. We bought Bodmin Jail 3.5 years ago. We looked at several businesses before we bought Bodmin Jail, but we thought it was such an exciting venture, big venture. The history was just so fascinating. So we bought it, really. And now we're trying to develop it. We've got a 10-year plan to rebuild it. We're starting with the bars and restaurants, so we can generate our own money and investment because we can't get any lottery or heritage grants. We're going to build a hotel, and then finally we're going to build a big museum, for want of a better word, of Celtic heritage and history in another part of the wing. Our aim is to rebuild the entire jail, for every cell back as it was. So long, it's 10 years, but we've been here 3.5 years, as I said, and we've spent £800,000 so far on the development of the project, and we're estimating within the 10 years we will probably spend anything between 15 and 25 million on the project.
I think it's wonderful what we're doing. I think it's such an important part of history, and Bodmin was once the capital town of Cornwall, and we would like it to be the same, and we're here really just to develop all these buildings that you see here today, and to give them a purpose in the 21st century while restoring them back to their Grade 2 status for everybody to enjoy in the future.
A councillor came here one day, a mother and a daughter. The mother was a county councillor, the daughter was a civic councillor. After they'd been here about an hour or so, they were shown around the jail, and then they were taken down, out and around, down to the naval wing, where the mother, the naval wing is probably 40, 50 feet long, where my brother and the mother walked to the very furthest end of it, where they were talking, and the daughter said, "What's this man doing in the cell?" My brother thought it was a tramp. He said, "Oh no." So as they moved towards it, the mother suddenly said, "I can sense it, dear, I can sense it. Yes, I know." And as they moved to the door, suddenly the mother grabbed hold of the crucifix around her neck, and at that point the spirit actually jumped into the councillor. It turns out that the guy was very, very angry. He didn't understand why he was even in here, and that was why he was an unsettled spirit. My brother panicked, obviously, tried to grab hold of her to take her out. He actually felt a thump, a black thump, hit him in the chest. And when he eventually got them out, he said what had happened. They didn't like to say it, but they were actually Romany descent, the mother and the daughter, and it was natural to be passed down from mother to daughter, the gift of the spirit world.